I'm short. My voice is typically deep and maybe not easily heard, so that if I fade at a certain point in time, just wave and I'll pay attention. I was afraid that Father Clever was going to take all of my lines talking about lay people in various different orders. But anyway, I'm a Benedictine sister of Annunciation Monastery. You know us as the sponsors and founder of University of Mary, St. Alexius Health, ministry on the margins, and we've got a new ministry on the horizon. You know Sister Idella, who is our vocation director, and as an outgrowth of her Master's in Social Work program, which she completed a few years ago, she is developing a ministry called Stepping Stone Ministries, and it'll be located within the old convent next to St. Alexius, and it will be a medical respite facility. But she's going to talk to you later on this next year, so I won't steal her thunder. I currently serve at the Serra Club as the liaison or an advisor to the board for men and women in religious, because I also love my monks. So Jane's asked me to talk about the growth in our Oblate program. For those of you who are not familiar with the term, think secular Benedictine. So many of you have some affiliation or know of people in different orders. Many of you may be Oblates of not just us, but of the other two Benedictine communities in North Dakota or beyond in Minnesota and so forth. But the word oblate derives from oblati in Latin, or gift. And its use as oblate with adults was primarily started and actually promulgated by Rome and approved their regulations and norms in 1904, which is fairly late. The first oblates were actually children who were given to a monastery in the early days of monasticism. But that practice, for lots of reasons, was discouraged. So these particular oblates of 1904 on were people who affiliated them with one particular Benedictine community. They were assistants around the monastery. They may have lived adjacent to, and it's developed for a long period of time. But communities of monastic women were not allowed to have oblates until 1961. And so for those of you who may have started beforehand, in this area, they became oblates of Assumption Abbey, and then when it was approved in 1961, they transferred their oblation over. And it's kind of fun because the most recent oblate director out of the Abbey had given me all of these old sheets, and they're all handwritten, and it's really wonderful to look back on many of these women who were students at Priory High School and became oblates during their time as students. So I also ask your prayers for Father James Kilzer. As some of you know, he is undergoing a very serious cancer journey. So we ask your prayers for him in the oblate world. So many of you grew up Benedictine in the Bismarck diocese. Its first bishop was a Benedictine abbot. Many of the first sisters in the diocese were Benedictines, although not all, staffing the Catholic schools and hospitals throughout western North Dakota. Many of you also know, and it hasn't been too many years before I stood before you as a person in formation, that I am a late vocation. I am a widow when I first came here in my 50s. I had 5 grown and gone children, and with their blessing, I came with also about 15 years of life as a Benedictine oblate. Last month, I made a short home visit. One of my sons is currently being treated for cancer. And I had the opportunity to not only visit him several times, but one of my friends who was also an oblate of this particular Benedictine community, a community of men in Southern California, St. Andrew's Abbey, suggested we stay at the Abbey. It was near where my son lived, and it was also a place where I could enjoy a few days of respite from this cancer journey, to pray about it, to pray through it, and to be of assistance to my son. It always has been a strong anchor in my monastic journey. So I was a Benedictine for a very long time. It seems like over 30 years now. So even though I'm relatively new to community, I will have one aside. For those of you who have adopted a person in formation, adopted a priest, whatever, among the religious life, thank you. When I was in formation, I started at a distance from when I was still working. And the connection with this organization was very, very meaningful to me, to get a little note saying, we're praying for your discernment. So I believe that what I had as a call as an oblate, I kind of thought of it as a call within a call. We are called to Christianity, to a specific denomination, a parish community, and a lay vocation adds just another layer of call within a specific charism, where we're emulating the life and teachings of a particular saint. After my husband's death, it was the monastic connection as a Benedictine that directed my search for a community. I only considered Benedictine communities because that's the charism I knew and felt deeply within my heart. It doesn't seem possible that it was 15 years ago that I first came to North Dakota, sat in chapel, and started chanting the Psalms with the sisters. Excuse me. Like any vocation, lay or religious, a period of discernment is necessary. Mine evolved over 3 key paths. Prayer, always a first priority. I got a little feedback here. Whether it was a solitary walk on the beach after seeing my spiritual director, celebrating the liturgy of the hours with friends in the parish every day, or on my lunch hours, I used to race across town, because it was a little bit of a hike, and sit in the chapel, the adoration chapel of a nearby convent. And through those times in that chapel were so important to my discernment. I think that the local police department must have been affected by God, because I never was ticketed on my way to and from lunch. And thirdly, listening to the wisdom of avowed religious. My sister-in-law was a Franciscan, a sister who had served in Peru for many, many years. During her longer home visits, she would stay with us, and we would have long conversations about her assignments as a vocation director and as a formation director. Also about the role of the Franciscan associates in her life. She established a Montessori school at a mission that was very, very remote in Peru. They were still hauling water on the back of a burro to get any kind of regular source of water. So anytime she was away, it was the Franciscan associates that took over and carried the continuity of the charism within the local community. Any vocation requires a period of learning at the onset, but it's not just information, it is formation. And formation is different because it changes your very core. Some of you are Benedictine Oblates. We have a good representation today, and I'll have you stand at the end of my presentation. Others are lay Franciscans or Carmelites. Each charism has its own period of formation for lay members, which differs in length and structure. We have been overjoyed to welcome about 5 or 6 new oblates every single year. And that may not seem like a lot, but we have a very structured formation program that demonstrates how much we really care about them as a real part of our community. And it is a structured program to introduce candidates to the key elements of Benedictine spirituality and lasts a year. This year, the number has doubled due to a very different but enthusiastic cohort of 7 men in the North Dakota State Penitentiary. They're hungry for meaningful spirituality to guide them toward a more stable and Christ-centered way of life. This Monday night, a number of us went in. I went in, and one of our oblate directors, and also one person in formation, and we never knew how many people we were going to have in class, because we started in May with 5, and we were overjoyed to have 5 people who were going to start this oblate formation program. Well, we got there and there were 6. I went in last week and there are 7. So it's growing by word of mouth, and the length of time that these men will be in the penitentiary varies from maybe a couple of more years to life. And it's amazing to see how they adapt a Benedictine practice to their daily life as an inmate. If they're standing up waiting for a roll call, they're doing a form of statio. And statio is that meditative period before you enter the chapel, before you actually walk in. You're centering yourself to go to prayer. So why have we been so successful in attracting, forming, and retaining new oblates? God plants the seeds. We work very hard to make sure they grow. The enthusiasm and commitment of a very active lay advisory committee and our existing oblates till the ground. This next year, we already have 5 confirmed candidates and 3 more kind of on the fence, waiting to see if that is truly where God is leading them. But truly, our growth is beyond human effort. We could tweak the program this way and that, but it wouldn't bring people to our door. It's a God thing. That is bringing these people to us. Last October on Oblate Sunday, on which we welcome new oblates and renew oblations, we calculated that the group of active oblates accounted for 1,373 years of oblation. And Irene, you get to stand up now. Irene has been an oblate for 67 years. She was just a babe at the time. So we are starting to attract some oblates at a distance. One of our key members took a job on the East Coast this last couple of years ago. And he is working with our list of oblates at a distance to form them into a cohort so that they can meet and become a group within a group. We've done, and this was partly as a result of the pandemic, we've done as much as we can to record formation sessions. When we started our program, actually we call it the formal formation program, which is a structured 12 months, so that we cover all the aspects of Benedictine spirituality within that period of time. So during that period, they are assigned a mentor who helps them to integrate the practices of the Benedictine way of life into their daily lives. And then we also have, lost my train of thought. So, and we also have them come 10 months out of the year and then the other 2 months when the people are often gone on vacations and so forth. We have those recordings that we recorded during the pandemic, and it was a difficult time. We had just started the formation program. We were in its first cohort. We didn't know if we were going to be meeting from week to week, month to month. We didn't know what precautions, procedures were going to be in place. It was all very tentative. So we had this backup of all these recorded sessions. And it's been very valuable to us because if somebody has to miss for any reason, we can pull one of those links out, send them the link, and they can watch it on their screen. So we also have a couple of retreats a year. We're up to about 3 special presentations where we meet for all day. Normally we meet from 1 to 3 on a Sunday afternoon, one Sunday afternoon a month. But by having these special presentations recorded, then we can send them out to our people at a distance. So Oblate formation shares the similarities with formation of vowed religious. There's an initial period of inquiry and then a period of exploring whether this is for you particularly. You have a lot of Oblates here in the room today. So these are your people that you can ask. These are the people that can serve as the best witness for our program and how meaningful it is in their lives. Anything like an oblate or associate or lay community is in addition to one's family commitments, one's church commitments, and anything else that is extremely important to your faith life. It's that extra layer or the way of incorporating Lectio Divina, praying the Liturgy of the Hours, and service to the community. So we also have fun. Last month, some of you were with us on the riverboat. Right after our annual chapter meeting of the community, we invited all of our Oblates and their families, as well as our employees, to join us on the river. So we rented the entire riverboat, and we took Oblates up and down the Missouri for an afternoon of fun. Our Oblates are integrated into the community. They're very important into the life of the community. And we have people who serve at our switchboard, who help with our guest area, who help at receptions, and I think a number of the Oblates helped at our 75th anniversary. But anyway, we encourage our Oblates to assume shared leadership in our ministry, and we do everything we can to make them feel a part of our community. In a way, I'm trying to work myself out of a job. So it's time to make this a truly integrated ministry within the Benedictine tradition, offering the gifts of the Benedictine charism to all. I'm going to ask all of our Oblates to please stand. And Woody can't stand, but we know he's there. And we invite anyone to check out our website. There's a nice little video that was done for us by the university to tell a little bit more about the daily life of an oblate. And our Facebook is kept up to date. So they are our ambassadors. So we invite all of you. Our next meeting is unfortunately this Sunday. You are welcome to join us after the Serra breakfast, of course. There are information cards up here on the desk, and I believe the other desk as well. So thank you. Are there any questions?
So, Sister, how long has the program existed out there? You said it could exist in 61. Did it
We did have Oblates in 1961. That I'm probably about the 10th Oblate director or so. So we've had it for a very long time. Yes?
Is it common to have oblates in prison, or is that just something that you started here?
We think we're the only oblate formation program in a prison. There are communities, two of our oblates recently went to the national conference, and that was the one thing I wanted to find out from them when they came back. Did they know about any other programs that were doing this? They have done something to bring Benedictine spirituality into various prisons, but not really as a formal oblate program. So this is unique. We're trailblazers. Yes, thank you, John.